Hi, Hemant.
Yes.
So, in today's session, let us discuss the curriculum for the Azure 104, which is Microsoft Azure Administrator Certification. Okay. Let us jump into the curriculum directly. So, here, the requirement is uh, as a candidate for this exam, you should have subject matter expertise in implementing, managing, and monitoring and organizations Microsoft Azure environment, including virtual network, storage, compute, identity, security, and governance. So these are the areas they are going to attempt the questions for you to test the knowledge. Okay. As an administrator, you often serve as part of large team dedicated to implementing an organization's cloud infrastructure. It means you're going to you will be working like a Linux admin guy, how he works, you are going to work for the cloud administration, which is cloud Azure cloud infrastructure administration in these kind of services, basically networking, storage, compute, identity access management, security, and IT governance. Okay. You also coordinate with other roles to deliver Azure networking, security, database, application development, and Azure solutions. Yes, obviously, there will be different groups. They will be using this infrastructure from Azure cloud, right? Then you should be familiar with OS, networking, servers, virtualization. Then in addition, you should have experience with PowerShell, Azure CLI, Azure Portal, Azure Resource Management Templates, Microsoft Entra ID. That is another service. I'll tell you later. So skills at a glance will be manage Azure identities and governance will be 20 to 25%. It means identity access management is common in across cloud services for creating groups, user IDs within the group, giving the access permissions, creating some kind of policies. All those will be included in that. And you are going to follow some kind of standard IT governance procedures. You know, as the QA expert, what is IT governance also, right, in the organizations. You got it? IT governance idea?
Yeah. So basically,
Okay.
making sure following the procedural methodologies as per the requirements.
Yes. Yes. So implement and manage storage. Azure has got storage which is called blob storage. Like in AWS, we have S3 simple storage service. You will be having 15 to 20% questions and deploy and manage Azure compute resources, virtual missions and related stuff, 20 to 25%. Implement and manage virtual networking. Yes, the VNet is there in Azure, which is called VPC in virtual private networking, virtual private cloud in AWS. That percentage is 15 to 20. Then monitor and maintain Azure resources as 10 to 15%. Okay. Then here, what happens? We'll walk through the components, individual subtopics. Manage Azure identities and governance covers the following things. First one is manage Microsoft Entra users and group. Creates users and groups. Manage users and group properties. Manage license in Microsoft Entra ID. Manage external users. Configure self-service password reset. Yes. So you know in admin guys they do this kind of activities. The sysadmin or network admin guys, right? In progress. The
Agree.
similar one you are doing in cloud here. Okay. Manage access to Azure resources. Manage built-in Azure roles. As Azure has got access permissions with user ID. That the user is ID is added into the group, and within that group, this user ID is given with particular permissions to access the Azure services. So you are not going to access like a Azure administrator fully. Uh, where administrator will have all the services accessibility. So we can restrict through the Azure roles. That role is meant for particular purpose like that. Developer is there. Developer will have access. with virtual machines. He'll not have access with virtual networking because it is not required for him to modify the network. He need to understand only the server concept, is mission status, and later on connectivity. So all those need to be there. That role can be created as a group. In that group, one ID can be created. That ID will have access. With that access, they can log into the Azure portal. They can create the machines, virtual machines. So assign roles at different scopes. As obviously, as we discussed, there will be different scopes for each group, and interpret access assignments as that is there. Then manage Azure subscriptions and governance. Implement and manage Azure policy. What is policy? A particular group should have only these kind of services access. That is the governance rule designed by the cloud infrastructure officer, CIO. That is uh, CIOs are going to approve the policies basically. Then configure resource locks. Yes, obviously, you will be locking if they are violating particular access things. Okay. Then apply and manage tags and resources. Yes, there will be tags for each resource when you are creating. With the tags, costing can be identified by any guy who is going to calculate the resource cost, monthly billing or something like that. Manage resources groups. Yes, groups can be managed in this. Okay, in subscriptions. So then manage cost by using alerts, budgets, and Azure Advisor recommendations. You can make alerts for particular groups or particular user ID for either violation or increasing the billing cost, whatever budget is allocated for that group. Configure management groups. Yes, all are related with Azure subscriptions and governance by operating Azure groups and user IDs, policies, procedures. Then next one is implement and manage storage. Configure access to storage. Configure Azure storage firewalls and virtual networks. So all these will come under Azure storage topics. So we're going to learn through the course also. Create and use shared access signatures tokens. Shared access is, let us say you want to share particular files to somebody. Then you will be assigning particular tokens. The token validity will be there up to particular duration. Now let us say you might have seen payment gateways in your functional testing for any payment in the applications. You know that, right? Hello,
Yes.
are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. So how the payment gateway is operated for the developer will get a token. You will insert the token ID in the code. The token validity is there for 1 year or 2 years. Once the token ID is expired, you need to take new token and update the code also under maintenance towards accessing the payment gateway. Am I right?
And they make an API call to send the
Yes,
request.
yes. That is API code only. API code need to be modified for a new token. That's all in the code
Okay.
script, right? Then
Yes.
configure stored access policies. That's obviously manage access keys. Configure identity-based access for Azure files. That's obviously whatever files you are uploading into the storage areas that need to be having given access to particular groups. Group-wise access can be given. Configure and manage storage accounts. Create and configure storage accounts as each blob service will have user accounts. So with that user account, you can create files upload, sharing files, such kind of things. Then configure Azure storage redundancy. So that is one aspect they can do it. Configure object replication. Like you have two people, they are working in two different projects, but they want to cross share the files. You take developers. Developers need to share some kind of files. Then obviously this replication is useful for them. Okay, you take business users in a bank. Banking users will share at the day end some balance sheet, cross sharing. Then that replication will work there. This particular feature of the blob. Okay, configure storage account encryption as obviously without encryption there is no safety for the data. Manage data by using Azure Storage Explorer and Azure Copy. Yes, that is there. Then configure Azure Files and Azure Blob Storage. Create and configure a file share in Azure Storage. Yes, you can configure it and you can share the file with URL, private URL, public URL, like that you can create it. Okay. Create and configure a container in blob storage. Yes, you can create a container also. In the container, you can save the databases or servers or something. That kind of things can happen. It and you can share the database of that server also. Configure storage types. Yes. Configure snapshots and soft delete for Azure files. These are all the administrative activities with the blob storage properties. Configure blob lifecycle management. Lifecycle is you create the object. After the creating object, you will be maintaining with the different versions. You take a code file. Software developer will have code files. You will create multiple versions. The same way, here also we can create files like how he does in GitHub or somewhere. You can create different documents also with different versions. That is all coming under lifecycle management of blob. Then configure blob versioning. Yes, versioning why it is required because documents need to be updated periodically. You take a test plan, you will have multiple versions of the test plans in QA testing. Am I right? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So you had that right? Test plans
Yeah.
multiple versions and the test cases also will have multiple versions documents.
Correct.
For that purpose, you need to create the versioning options. Okay. Then deploy and manage Azure compute resources. Automate deployment of resources by using Azure Resource Manager templates or bicep files. Actually, each cloud service will have their own uh, templates. Those templates are useful to create the resources. The templates vary from one cloud service to another cloud service. If you take AWS, there is a cloud formation templates are there. With the templates, you can create the infrastructure as a code. Here it is called Azure Resource Manager templates, where you'll have JSON code, and that JSON code can be used to create sequentially the infrastructure setup. You want to create first VNet, you create VNet. Then you want to create the gateways, you can create the subnets, you can create server creation like Apache server in public subnet, in virtual machine, and create before that you need to create the virtual machine. All these will come like a sequence of the activities in any infrastructure creation as common. It is a commonality basically. For that, we will be using the code snippets in JSON. That entire infrastructure code is called ARM template. So modify an existing Azure Resource Manager template and modify an existing bicep files also. Deploy resources by using Azure Resource Manager templates. Yes, obviously you can modify them, you can deploy them, redeploy them also on the environment. Let us say in a network you have one public subnet, one private subnet, and you want to create another virtual machine in a public subnet. So we want to create that as a server, particular server, either database server or something. Then you can update this particular code, infrastructure as a code, which is ARM template, and update that in the resource manager templates. Then what happens? It is going to check the existing setup. On top of that, it's going to create or update the environment by adding another server, which is database server. Okay. So you are adding like in an application environment, developer said for you, hey Hemant, I have one new database server introduced in my application. I want to host it. Then what are you going to do? You are going to take the new code. After that, what you are going to do? You are going to ask the DBA to set up the DBA server, right? Then after that, you are going to ask sysadmin guy to host that server and to connect to this particular application. With network guy, with sysadmin guy, DBA guy, all those need to work together. Here, what you are going to do? You are going to do every task by yourself, those role tasks as cloud admin. You're getting?
Got it.
Okay. So in
Yes.
such case, what happens? The environment need upgrades, updates. For that purpose, you are updating the ARM templates. Template update is nothing but you are adding
Patchwork.
code snippet, code snippets. It is called code snippet. Code snippet means you create one resource, virtual machine. Virtual machine will have a code snippet. In that, you want to add another server, database server. You give the database server related commands in the code snippet as a script. Then it is going to update in the system by adding one MySQL server or MongoDB server or something. Okay. So next one is create and configure virtual machines. You are going to create a virtual machine, configure Azure disk encryption, obviously hard disk, like hard disk, there will be disks also in the cloud. Move a virtual machine to another resource group, subscription region. You can be here. One benefit of Azure is you can move virtual machines to different groups also, different regions also, uh, like a physical machine moving. You take a laptop, you are connecting to one network, you can take to another network and connect there also. You will have access. Okay. So that way they have given the options here. But in AWS, it is not like that. Once you create the mission, virtual mission, it will stay in one network only. Okay. In the beginning. So that feasibility is there. Virtual mission sizes, you are going to declare it like a CPU configuration, all that you are selecting particular configuration while creating the VM. Then manage virtual mission disks. As disks also you need to manage it. Deploy virtual missions to availability zones and availability sets. So these are the practical tasks you are going to do as system administration of Azure virtual mission management, like Linux admin tasks. Okay, but virtual missions you are going to do that in cloud. Okay, deploy and configure an Azure virtual mission scale sets. Yes, obviously you can increase the size, you can reconfigure, you can deploy the missions in different networks, subnets, regions, like that. Provision and manage containers in the Azure portal. You create and manage an Azure container registry. Okay, so containers are, it is a form of Docker containers. Those you are going to use in the cloud service. Automatically in the back end, it is a Docker engine running. The front end is cloud services. Okay. So you might have heard Docker, right? Hello.
Yes, I did.
Yes. So we are going to work initially in this coaching with Docker also, along with Azure containers. We'll learn how to create containers in Docker, how to create images, how to upload into Docker Hub, all those you are going to learn those things. Okay. So the same way in Azure containers also we have provision a container by using Azure Container Apps, provisioning the containers there. That operations also you should be aware. Managing sizing and scaling for containers, including Azure Container instances and Azure Container Apps. Okay. So all these things, scaling is nothing but you are increasing size of the container and number of containers in that particular network to add some more provisions. Okay. Then create and configure Azure App Service. Provision an app service plan, configure scaling of an app service plan, create an app service. Basically, app service is nothing but you will have to create some applications setup. It can be any technology. You take .NET or JavaScript or any PHP, Python, that kind of stacks you are going to create in the Azure app service. So once you create that setup, what happens? It will have a two-tier architecture or three-tier architecture component, network component, and on that you can place your database server, you can place your app server, you can place your application server, all those things.